Hi everyone, we're here to go ahead and show you a replacement on the backlight of this iPhone 5. A couple tools you're going to need is a suction cup possibly, a Phillips screwdriver, a pentalobe screwdriver, a couple pry tools, a spudger and a guitar pick work well, and of course your iPhone. So this iPhone has a little bit of damage to the backlight somehow. You can see that it's kind of got some light and dark spots back there. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to replace it with a new backlight. We're going to go ahead and take out the two pentalobe screws at the bottom. It's almost exactly like the steps to replace the screen to get everything taken apart. Then we'll just desolder off the backlight and put a new one on and then reassemble it. So take off both of the pentalobe screws to the left and the right of the power button. We go ahead and just use our suction cup. This makes it a little bit easier to take the screen off. You don't have to have it, but I find it helpful. We're going to go ahead and power off the display here real quick. We're just going to use the suction cup to pull back and get some separation between the phone and the frame. Stick our pry tool in and just kind of twist it left and right, and that'll go ahead and give us the separation that we're looking for without damaging the LCD. Just trying to get it to lift off the left and right side. Perfect. So we've got it to go separate for us. Now we're not going to lift the screen back more than about a 90-degree angle. Doing further than that could damage the LCD cable. What we're going to do next is go ahead and just power off the device further by taking the battery off the motherboard connector here. We'll take out the two screws and pop off the little metal cover. We use our spudger to go ahead and pull up on the battery connector. Now we're going to go ahead and take off these three screws that hold the connector over the LCD digitizer and front-facing camera connector. Here's our third one. Just use this to lift off. Perfect. Now we need to undo three of the connectors here. The furthest to the right, the one next to it, and then there's one right behind it. That'll let us go ahead and slide the rest of our phone over, work with just the display portion. We're going to take off the speaker and the front-facing camera here. This little holder holds the speaker down. Undo both screws, just making sure you keep track of which screw came out from where. This top screw is a little bit longer than the bottom screw. Go ahead and take this off. We can go ahead and remove the speaker, set that aside. We're going to use our spudger to lift off this ribbon cable here as well. We have a total of 6 screws we also need to remove to take off this metal shielding off the backlight. And as always, just make sure you understand where your screws come from. I like to draw a little bit of a diagram picture of each area I take it off, and just insert or set the screws on top of where I remove them from. Makes reassembly a ton easier. Two down the side. Be careful of the white dot, though. That's the water sensor. Don't want to get moisture on that. Now this metal plate will come off. Let me go ahead and remove that off the backlight. Using our spudger, we'll go ahead and just pull this ribbon cable off nice and gently. Right where these two metal contacts here at the top, there's some adhesive underneath that. And then the mic is stuck into the little rubber gasket there. Just pulling the cable forward, you can see that the square that's sticking off to the right of my thumb is actually where the backlight solders. We're going to use our tweezers to go ahead and pull this little piece of tape off of it. And that'll reveal the solder points for us. Have our new backlight here. You can see this little cable is what we're going to be desoldering off the back of the device right here. It does have adhesive that holds it down. So we're going to be nice and gentle as we do this. We're just going to use our spudger to pull the backlight away from the LCD. You want to be very careful not to smudge the back of this or get any dust in it. You don't want anything that would affect the new backlight once you put it on. When you're prying it off, just be careful not to crack the LCD using any sort of a metal tool. So I'm using a nylon tool. You can even still crack with this. Just be nice and gentle as you pull it up. Alright, so now we've got that set. See that it's pulled off. So I'm just going to insert my spudger here with the cable. That'll give us some tension against the cable to help us go ahead and remove it. Take our soldering iron. This is not the world's greatest soldering iron either. You don't need a great one to do this. You don't even need a temperature regulated one. Just get it nice and hot. I'm just going to put it against the cable here using our spudger as a tool to help us pull it off. You can see it was nice and quick. That'll let us go ahead and remove the backlight completely. So what I did is I just went ahead and pulled off the covering of the backlight here. Let's just go ahead and pull it off so you can see. Just kind of test fitting it to see if it will work with the device. We still have our adhesive covering on. I'm just going to take this, pull the adhesive cover off, like so. We're going to take the bottom of the backlight. It's kind of got a ridge on it, and then it sits over the LCD. So line up the bottom part first, and then kind of push it down towards the top. You don't need a lot of force to stick this adhesive down. Just be very light and gentle about it. Try to line up the cable at the top as much as possible. Now normally there's enough adhesive on this, or enough solder on this, you can just go ahead and solder it back down. It does make it easier if you have something to put behind it. So you just want to line the 3 tabs up again. And I'm just going to see if I can't find some tweezers or something here to help us hold it. Let's get it lined up here real fast. See if this will work for us. Just try to make sure that all 3 of those lines get a nice shine on them. Remember that means the solder's hit it. Normally, once the cable sticks down, it means you've got a nice good seal on it. Sometimes it can be hard to tell whether or not you got a good connection, so I'd always test it before you rebuild it too much.
I don't know, stealing them back, it seems like a stupid risk. There's other ways.
Still seems a little flimsy here. Just give it another second. Try a higher point on the soldering iron. It seems to get a little bit warmer on the tip. On the middle of it rather than the tip. See, I didn't get a good contact there. You see the cable just popped off.
Yeah, well, I've chased all of them one time or another. Parker, you have Parker. Is there somebody back?
Try holding it a little bit higher.
But Parker is insane, which is why I need you. No. I'm not a thief. Thieves I got. What I need is one honest man to watch him.
Well, it's a little bit shinier there. Check out the connection. Feels pretty solid.
It's not going to work. These people you hired, they all have the same rep. They work alone. They always work alone.
Sometimes it can be a little bit deceiving. So I'm going to test it and see if we have a good connection. If not, we can just go ahead and resolder it again. I'd always do this before you start to reassemble the device. You really want to test this and make sure it's functional.
Your bosses. It's a $50 million intellectual property rights policy. Mr. Ford, how badly do you want to screw the insurance company that let your son die? Okay, clear comms. No.
Go ahead and try to power the device on.
This equipment is total VH1, bruh. It's best of the 80s.
That's not a good sign. Looks like... Just double check the battery connection here. Double check my connections onto the board. I'm gonna be careful with that flex cable, don't bend it too much. Try again.
This is not the room you're
looking. Sometimes you can see a faint Apple logo, which means the backlight isn't lighting up.
No, it's just as you look. I don't even know what you do.
So a lot of people get a little stressed out here. Really all you need to do is try to resolder it. We're going to double check the power on the device here real quick just to make sure that's not the problem. Yep, should have happened right there. No Apple logo. No low battery indicator. So all we need to do is go ahead and put a little extra heat onto the solder point, and that should fix the problem for us.
Can I have one?
You can have the whole box. What are you gonna do when she finds out you live with your mom? Age of the geek, baby. We run the world. We keep telling ourselves that.
I could have edited this part out, but I think it's nice to see some of the real world issues that happen with working with these. Sometimes things don't go exactly like they should the first time.
You don't get money until you do what I say. So be a good girl. Or, I don't know, a better thief.
No backlight leakage or anything, so it's definitely not an LCD problem. The backlight's just not turning on at all. You can see that pressing down on it there, I get the Apple logo, which means my solder contact is not making a good connection.
Paris, 2003.
Just stay safe. You talking about the Caravaggio? You still living? It's completely safe.
I'm just going to go ahead and try that again. Put on a little bit more heat. To get a little bit flatter surface, something we can press against. Sometimes the leftover solder, there's not much of it.
Relax. We know what we're doing. On the count of 5. All he doesn't want to be all bad. We're on the count.
Sorry, my head's going to get in the way here for a second. We're just going to press on each individual line. Make sure it gets nice and good solder connections. Sometimes it's really easy, you can just do them all three at once, sometimes you do them individually. Go ahead and try this again and see if this fixes our issue.
Vibration detectors are on.
No cutting apart, could use the binary.
There we go. Perfect. So the touchscreen is functioning correctly for us. The next step is to go ahead and start the reassembly of the device. Go ahead and put our little piece of tape back over the solder connection. Make sure that doesn't short itself out. Go ahead and pull off this back protection here on the backlight.
I don't see a thing.
We can go ahead and start to reassemble the device here with our back plate.
Door's open.
Line up the top and the bottom screw hole. Make sure the top one's lined up, the bottom one has a little bit of play in it. Let's go ahead and put the 6 screws back in.
Why?
Listed on the duty roster, there's only 4 at the guard post.
I can't even tell how many guys are in the room. How can you tell who's who?
Haircuts, bud. Count the haircuts.
What is this?
What?
The camera cut off there for a second, unfortunately. Sorry about that. Went ahead and put the screws into the back plate here. Got the 2 down the side, the one at the bottom.
You want to make sure it's just lined up. So that's the goal. Why we put it down here first. Next step is to go ahead and put this
We need
cable
to put our
back in.
cable back in. We're going to take the mic here. We're going to press it into the round hole at the top. We go ahead and put our camera into place. And then our 2 contacts back over the 2 prongs that stick out. Go ahead and put our speaker back into the speaker hole here. And make sure that those springs are making contact onto the 2 contact points on the cable.
Special anger release.
This little metal housing that goes over the speaker that kind of holds it in place. Sometimes it gets a little bit bent. Just kind of bend it back a little bit before you start to screw it down.
It's supposed to be a walk, man. I'm never supposed to see you again. And the only reason
Long screw goes up here at the top.
is because we didn't get paid.
And the small one down here at the bottom.
Matter of fact, the only way to get us all in the same place at the same time is to tell us that we're not.
Alright, next step is to go ahead and reassemble the rest of the device. Now sometimes the contacts here can be a little bit tricky. You want to be nice and careful with this, especially the touch connection or the LCD connection. The front-facing camera, I've never had a problem. This longer cable on the right-hand side. Just make sure they get a good connection on them. Remember, don't push the screen further than a 90-degree angle. And you'll see that on the ribbon cable there's like a little IC chip, a little metal housing chip on there. You don't want to bend below that. You only want to bend above that. Go ahead and put our 3 screws back in.
Not much.
It's about time.
What the hell?
Cops and firemen got there just as we were leaving.
County hospital. Local cops responded to the explosion.
My cover wasn't aligned here very well when I put that screw in, so I'm just going to give it another try here.
I faxed our friends to the state police.
Yeah, the state is trying us, man. We're screwed
How long?
for 30, 35 minutes. depending on-
Sometimes this screw can be a little bit tricky. Something you can do that helps out is you can take a plastic spudger or opening tool and use that to hold the device open to give you 2 free hands.
These cops.
Don't you dare! You killing me when you screw up my getaway.
Hold up, I'm still handcuffed. Yeah, I can't even go to the bathroom. I gotta go.
Parker, get me a phone. What we're gonna do is we're gonna get out of here together.
Just being a little bit tricky.
One time deal. Guys, here's your
A little bit of foam tape there from the camera connection. Just going to stick it on, push it in a little bit,
I don't trust these
and
guys.
try that again.
Do you trust me?
Line the holes up here.
Careless man. Parker, phone.
This is constant.
Do our next screw. Find it easy to get it exactly on place on the head of the screwdriver and then push it in.
Nausea put me in a concussion. If you feel any more effects of blood vision, tell the policeman right away.
Need to put our battery connection in. So I'm going to use this spudger to hold it open. Give me 2 free hands. Sometimes it can be a little bit more frustrating if it falls rather than helps keep it open.
Yeah, I got it. So the trick is to give them what they want. They're expecting a phone call, right?
There's an outside call for you, line 2.
Okay.
Alright, that's all the internal parts. We're going to take the screen and we're going to push it up towards the top of the device. Make sure that it seats in up here, and then push down on the bottom where the screws go in. You kind of feel it click into place. Make sure you get all the snaps in, that it looks flush. Then we can go ahead and put our 2 bottom screws in.
There it goes. Deputy Burns, this is Deputy Director McCumber.
Now if you did get some fingerprints on the back of that LCD, or you have water damage, some residue, you can just use a microfiber cloth. I wouldn't use any solution to clean it. I would just spray some hot air, just blow on it a little bit, and then clean it with that cloth and see if that fixes the issue.
I need to know I can trust you. Can I? Yes, sir.
Normally that's where a lot of backlights issues happen. Sometimes they get distorted. Sometimes the backlight wears out and you can see it's part of it's not functioning properly anymore. This will fix all of those issues. Backlights are really cheap. They're only like a couple bucks. If you get them through Amazon or Etrade or eBay, you can usually find them for a good deal there. It's a pretty easy fix rather than having to buy a whole new display with some very minor solder skills. If you found the video helpful, go ahead and hit the like button. If you want more videos in the future, hit the subscribe button. And any questions, throw them in the comments and I'll do what I can to answer your questions. Thanks for watching.
Who's like